In this video, I'm going to demonstrate how CimTrak can help with continuous compliance by using CIS benchmarks or DISA-STIGs to harden your environment, reduce vulnerabilities, and provide evidence for your compliancy audits. Firstly, this can be done with or without an agent. To do remote scans across the network, we can do a network discovery to pull in all the devices into CimTrak by name or IP and bring them into the console. Or you can install an agent on the machine, which will register the agent here in the tree view. Now, a user will need to create a compliance policy. This gives them the ability to enable an audit they're preparing for. Maybe it's CMMC, or HIPAA, ISO, MITRE ATT&CK Framework, NIST, PCI, SOC 2. There are many. Choose one, choose them all, whatever you need to help prepare for. This will automatically choose the benchmark of the system in question. And you can choose the profile, maybe it's highlighting if it's a server or a workstation, or a level 1 or a more hardened level 2 scan. You can also configure the schedule on how often you want to scan, maybe every 30th day of the month, Monday and Friday at noon, you choose. Now, once these scans are complete, you're going to get the score for the benchmark. This is a Windows 22 server, and it's not doing so great. I see I have a low score because I'm failing lots of tests. In other words, my system is not secure. We can look at all the details and see the tests that have failed, group them up, quickly highlight them, and we can double-click these tests to read more. This one's looking to rename the admin account, which I failed to do. Included is the description about the GPO and what it actually does, what it's for, the rationale, why it's important to make the change, in this case because everyone has the built-in admin account, so that's half the work for the hacker to brute force the password, the impact if I make the change, maybe it'll change how the system works, and then how do you fix it, the remediation step. That's all right here, which is in this case for Windows is going to be a group policy change. For Linux, you'd see something like changing a setting in a file. Now, we can come back and see these other scores. We call these mappings. These are translations to different compliancy standards. What we're doing is using the test results from the benchmark and mapping them to show evidence from many different compliancy standards. If we look at these reports out of the tool, here I can see in my benchmark report the same details, the host, the IP, the scan date, the score, all the tests, and I can see the remediation steps, rationale, just like you just saw in the console, and the actual test data. Here we can see the registry key that group policy actually resolves to, and the actual system value versus what it's supposed to be in a hardened state per CIS practices. Now, some auditors require that you gather these values for every single system. We make it very easy by putting that value right in the report where it belongs for each system versus the value it should be. So it's clearly to understand why this test is in fail status. Now we can also run those mapping reports. That allows us to show evidence for other requirements. If we look at PCI here, it's every PCI requirement in order, but now there's these scores on the right. If I was 100% passing this 1.2.7 section, the proof is right here in the report, and that's what the auditor wants to see. In this fake example, if I was passing all of these tests, that's the proof that I would be meeting the requirements for 1.2.7. No longer do you need to go gather all the screenshots and values. We're doing that and putting it right in the report where it needs to be. And there's lots of requirements we help with. Another example might be a SOC 2 report. Now it's the SOC 2 requirements in order with the evidence automatically gathered for you by CimTrak. Anything that's blank, those are things that we can't see in a technology we can't integrate with, or maybe even physical requirements that you'll need to show evidence elsewhere. Now there is the concept of waivers. This allows you to actually skip tests, maybe because you have some good reason. Maybe you have some important legacy application that is required to have this GPO setting on or off. You don't want to do that for some business critical server or applications. So with this in place, we won't say fail every test. Now we'll just skip it because you have a good reason. We know it's not going to be changed. So now instead of saying fail, it would be waived in the report. This gives you a nice audit trail to show why we're not doing this test, even though it's a good practice. We have a really good reason today, but we're going to remember to reassess this maybe sometime in Q3 this year when we plan on replacing that old legacy application. And we can apply this to other machines in the same state. Now we also have the ability to view all of your scores in one place where you can see them in one-stop shop, sort them, double-click to go back and read all those results. And we're the only tool who has the ability to download the latest and greatest CIS benchmarks and disastigs as they get released. You don't need to wait for a CimTrak new version to come out, download, upgrade, none of that. Right from the console, when new updates come out, we can download them into our CimTrak environment. And with the version management screen, we have the ability to easily set these new versions as the active version, which means when all the next tests go off on the next scheduled scan time, they're going to reference the new global active version here. You don't need to reconfigure every policy. It's very easy to set that new version up to be used on the next scan when you activate it. So CimTrak can definitely help with continuous compliance, keeping the trends of your system's hardening state throughout its lifetime, while providing remediation steps to get it to a hardened state, reducing vulnerabilities, and easily gathering audit details and audit reports from many different compliances, whether it be PCI, CMMC, CISA, CGIS, ISO, MITRE, NERC, many of the NISTs, PCI. There are many, and we're always adding more. If you have any questions, please let me know.